Yeah, when you're feeling down and motivated in the midweek, we got the guys here to make your life complete. Little John, Brandon, Cody, Carly, they're coming in to keep you motivated all week. New episode, same time every week. Don't gotta wait long for the next one to release. So don't go away, sit down, take a seat, enjoy Midweek Motivation with John and Carly. Hey.
Midweek Motivation.
Let's go.
What is up, Midweek Motivation?
Look, I didn't know if you were gonna say anything, I was just gonna stare at you awkwardly until you said something, but you jumped right on it. So
I figured I'd just jump in and take that joy from you.
Oh man, I was really hoping for some silence there, some awkwardness.
I mean, things are going a little too well today. So,
yeah.
You know.
Why did you say it?
Because it wouldn't be Midweek Motivation without a technical problem.
And so far, well, we did have one, but it was pretty easy.
Well
fix.
before.
Yeah, well before. Like I think I had it fixed by like 10:30.
Right.
Yeah. So, but clearly Darren's here and everything worked. So, yeah.
I'm not going to say there's a correlation.
Yeah. Last week Darren wasn't here and basically nothing worked other than the mics. Did you watch last week? Mm-mm. I had to run over there and start the show, and I had to run over there and end the show. Mm-hmm. None of the buttons worked. It was
a relay race,
right? Yeah. And Brandon at the end, I was like, you know what I just thought about? The buttons aren't working. He was like, well, why don't I end the show and you run over there and press the button? I was like, yeah.
What a great idea, Brandon.
So that's what we did. Welcome to Midweek Motivation. I just want to ask you guys, Dustin kind of highlighted this in the sermon Sunday. What is your worth? That's a pretty deep thought. What is your worth? You know, do you ever wonder if you're making any sort of difference? Maybe a difference in your family, your significant other, your job, your team, your church, on midweek, on Sunday where you're serving at, so on and so forth. Are you making a difference? Do you ever wonder if you've done anything meaningful and worthwhile? Most of us have had that thought, and we're going to talk about that today. So again, welcome to Midweek Motivation, real conversations with real people about a very real God. If you haven't done so before, go ahead and text MOTIVATE to 540-900-3838. I always have to focus on that 900 because y'all pick on me too much.
900?
900. Let us know in the chat that you are here. I'm not as quick as Darren is with the chat, but let us know in the chat, especially on the website or app. Let us know that you're here. Looks like we're live on everything. I don't have YouTube pulled up. Do you have YouTube?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, cool. We got Benny and Michelle back to back watching us. Susan Miller is on, Tanya Prilliman, and Courtney Chilson. There's going to be some others. We're missing some of one of our regulars is actually on the show today.
Oh, there's John Brunk.
Yeah, John Brunk, what is up? What is up? Let us know in the chat. Like, subscribe, share, follow, all of the things that we say every time. Click the bell, turn on notifications, and let us know in the chat that you're with us. So,
sound like a real YouTuber now. Ring that bell.
Ring that bell. We just need a little thing to pop up with the subscribe and the click and the like and the bell ringing.
We'll work on that for next week.
Yeah. If I do it, I'll break something else trying to make that work. All right. So, man, I don't even want to share this information. Bracket challenge update winners. Out of 56 entries, 10 with no bracket in the men's challenge. The top three are Todd Booth with 150 points, VT Hokie 131, whoever that is, with 140, and Leslie, I'm assuming it's Leslie Furrow. It was L Furrow, something, with 129. Those are your top three. Now, as far as our midweek motivation crew, this one really backfired on me. We have Brandon, who ended up somehow in 28th with 73 points. Mm-hmm. Darren in 40th with 54 points. And we'll just stop there.
Let's go.
All right, I'll say it.
I've never been more proud of 40th in my life.
I ended up in 42nd with 52 points. And Megan, before the show, she was like, "That is bad." And I'm like, "Well, thanks."
And 42 has deep meaning in the world,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's
I'll
the
take
answer
it.
to all the meaning of life.
I'll take that. You know, I wasn't in last. I think technically those with brackets, 46 was last. So I was not last.
Right? And somebody's got to bring up the rear.
Now, this one shocked me. Out of 15 entries in the women's challenge, almost all tournament,
If you're Ra out there, we need to meet.
Right.
I need to meet you, Ra. I need to know.
Led for most of the tournament, but
I thought that was a typo. You
No.
were asking about typos. I was like, who
No,
is this?
that's legit the name.
that's the name. It's 4 A's, maybe 5. I don't know.
And
Wow.
I dare say it's a winning name.
Yeah, and led most of most of the tournament. But here
was that
is
name again? Speaking of auto-tune, we can make that happen right there.
All right, so 15 entries. The top 3. Shane Short won it with 165.
Ooh, way to go, Shane.
T Stall with 162, and I was in third with 139. And who was our leader for most of the tournament, dropped to fourth with 135. The Iowa loss really hurt
This person needs to make themselves known to the world here.
We've been trying like every week on midweek, even on pre and post show. We're like, who are you? And I don't think has come forward. I love saying that for some reason.
We like when you say that.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know what we're giving the winners. We'll figure something out. We'll give you something. Todd Booth. I think Todd led in the men's, like,
Yeah, he was leading for a good while.
yeah, almost the whole tournament. Christine led for like 1 week. I was never there. I mean, I led before it started because we were all tied for first.
Yep.
But
I think
I
that's
was-
about the last time I was in the lead.
yeah. So yeah, we'll get something to you guys. Shane Short and Todd Booth. We'll hook you guys up with something. I'll figure it out, and we'll try to make an announcement next week maybe. Upcoming, we have Equip happening tonight. We try not to make this podcast all about Parkway, but I mean, we're all Parkway, and we're at Parkway doing the show. So if you
So you get Parkway.
if you have any interest in Equip, we have it online, but we certainly encourage you to be in person for it. As we say every week, there's nothing like being in the room for anything ministry-wise. But we do have it online for you. And then we have Johnny W., right? Johnny W.
Johnny W.
Mm-hmm.
Comedy event this weekend. And I didn't put the date, time, or anything on it. Megan, Darren, y'all got any of
April
that?
12th, so Friday,
Yep.
7?
7.
And tickets are
Is it, where can they go to get tickets?
I want to say it's $30.
30 sounds
but they can actually get tickets at the door. too.
Tickets at the
So,
door.
Yeah.
And Johnny W. is pretty funny.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good night.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
Yeah. So come hang out.
It's a fundraiser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
who's a
Not
fundraiser
us.
for?
Yeah. So if you guys remember a few months back, we were at Global Partners in Peace and Development.
We got to
down
go
in
again when they
historic
finish.
Montauk. Yes, yeah,
gonna be
we
super
need
cool.
to visit them again soon. But yeah, they're raising money to do the Go Center. They're renovating
Yeah.
the old Bonsack Baptist Church and making it into a missions mobilization and prayer and discipleship
Yeah.
center, which is super exciting. They're awesome people, and
Yeah.
so come out and support them and get to hear Johnny W. and laugh a little bit.
Yeah. Who doesn't like laughter? Y'all laugh at me all the time. So, yeah. So let's skip the laughter now and let's get serious. So Sunday was another huge day here at Parkway. Man, we had over 1,000 people on site, and we baptized 9 people. But the coolest part about that is, after we had finished baptism, second hour, right?
Yeah, second hour.
After we had finished baptism, second hour, Kelly, our director, she comes across the headset and she's like, "Carly, I think we got 2 more people want to be baptized. What do you think?" I was like, "Let's do it." She's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." And she's like, "Okay, I was thinking the same thing." And I'm like, "Do we need to tell Dustin?" And she's like, I don't know, but Cassidy's going to do it during announcements. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
We'll
oh,
be fine.
okay. So after baptism were over, Cassidy took these two individuals in the hallway or something and did a brief spill on what it means to be baptized and all that. And then we baptized two more people. Like that was so awesome to me. And so we've seen salvations, we've seen baptisms, we've seen next steps happening every week. And then another cool thing happened after the services. In a conversation, somebody decided they wanted to make a commitment following the services. Yeah, they were.
That's awesome.
I think they were meeting with Glenn, and Glenn led them to the Lord.
Awesome.
Oh man, it's so cool. I love it. So here's some of the sermon points from Sunday. I wish I had a clip of Dustin singing the songs.
Oh, it's coming.
We're gonna get that.
Oh my
It'll
god.
be there. It's going to live in immortality
history.
forever.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was great. But here's some of the highlights from it. You know, Dustin kicked off our new sermon series, Not a Martyr, and essentially what he portrayed in his message is Jesus was not a martyr. He was on mission. He was not a martyr. He was the authority. And he talked about how much God loves us and saves us while also taking sin seriously. And then he wrapped it up by having us think about our worth to God. You know, God loves us so much. Jesus loved us so much that he took our place. And, you know, I let off with the question of, what is your worth? And that's a lot of time a hard question for us to answer, because so often we, to be honest, we feel unworthy. You know, that just gonna be a little transparent here. Anytime I get the opportunity to preach, and even when I get the opportunity to do things like this, this is not in the notes. I'm going deep here. Might cry.
We're going rogue.
Yeah, we are. I often feel unworthy to preach, to teach, to lead.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Part of that comes from something that happened one of the first time I preached. Somebody took something I said out of context, emailed my pastor, and then I had to email out an apology to the whole church for something that I did not say, but that they said I said. And so now, when I prepare messages or prepare things like for Midweek Motivation, I stress because I'm so nervous that somebody is going to email,
Yeah.
or somebody's going to call, or somebody's going to text. And so I oftentimes really just beat myself up. Like, when little catchphrases, a lot of them just come out. But like the prepared catchphrases, I think through them like,
Yeah.
how could people take this? And in those moments, I feel unworthy.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not making a difference. But there's been so many people since that. In fact, some of the emails that I got in response to that, they're basically like, whoever that person is, they're an idiot, number one. And then they're highlighting all the good stuff that I had done in ministry, that I had said in that message. We didn't take it that way. And so you just kind of got to remind yourself of those good seeds, which we're going to talk about. So, man, I don't even know why I went down that path.
Well, sometimes when you're preaching, you're speaking truth and you're sharing the gospel.
Yeah.
Actually, all the time, it is offensive.
Yeah.
You know, it was when Jesus' day, it was offensive. And I've been reading this book called Counterculture by David Platt. And, you know, he goes through all these topics that are hot topics right now in our culture. And if we don't speak truth about them, then we're actually not being Christians.
Right.
That has really convicted me and challenged me. But I mean, the whole point is that even to Christians, the gospel can be offensive.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Because sometimes we want everybody to just love what we have to say.
yeah.
But actually, when you're offending someone, it means that you've touched on something
Right.
that's important in the kingdom.
Yeah,
of God.
it made me think about a meme or something I saw the other day, and it said, if you aren't being offended at your church by what your pastor is preaching, find another church. And I'm like, dang straight, dang it, Bobby. Sorry, man.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
good.
listen, I didn't even introduce Bobby.
That's what I was going to say. We need to go ahead and introduce him. Otherwise, that's not going to make sense to anybody.
Yeah, this is Bobby with us. Bobby has been coming to our church for not too long, but
Since
long
September.
enough. September has experienced some life change, and man has gotten plugged in, has gone through Equip, and man, we love Bobby. Bobby serves on our worship team. Just a heart of gold, hopefully getting ready to save us a ton of money on a big project here. We loved him before that, but we're going to love him even more if he can make that happen. And so that was why I said, dang it, Bobby.
That goes back to the worth, right?
Yeah.
And that actually leads to what I want to say about, a lot of times people, they base what other people think about them, about their worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they forget that what we should be more concerned about is our worth to God.
Let's go. Hit that let's go button.
It's always so delayed.
Right? Like that's I need to trim it up and make it like just right on the spot. So something cool happened yesterday. Once a month, our district pastors and district leaders, we get together for breakfast, most time over at Penforce. Is it Penforce Worship Center, right? Well, we had that yesterday, and something really neat happened. Pastor Meyer, the pastor of Penforce, he invited a couple of young men to join us for breakfast, and kind of put them on the spot. Like, I think he took like his last bite of food and he walked around the table and he was like, "Hey, will you guys share?" And you could see the look on their face like, "Sure, if we have to." Well, he asked them to share after we got done eating, and these young men, it's quite the story. I'm not going to share it all because I will probably mess up all the details. But essentially, they had traveled. I think they had sold all their stuff to be able to go to California. They traveled from Texas to California. I think there was a car accident or something in all of this. Had some pretty rough luck. Then they traveled from California to Tennessee, and then from Tennessee and eventually made it to Roanoke. And by the time they got here, all they had was the clothes on their back and the shoes on their feet. From my understanding, they didn't have anything else.
Wow.
They ended up staying at Rescue Mission for a couple of days, stayed at a couple of hotels with some family, with some pastors, just kind of bouncing around over the past 2 weeks. And somehow they ended up at First Wesleyan, and in talking with the pastor, Pastor Herb there, they asked him if they knew Pastor Myron, and so I think Myron said we were actually texting at that point, and so they gave him Myron's number, and they got connected, and then this ultimately is how they ended up at breakfast. There's a whole lot of other things, but I'm trying to be careful with how much I share. And so one of the young men there, he knew Pastor Myron from years ago. The church and Pastor Myron had made an impact on him in middle school before he left for Texas. He specifically shared stories of how Darren and Courtney had taken extra time and energy when they were in middle school to love on them. And again, this was in middle school. I believe this specific young man is 19 or 20 now.
Yeah, right about.
Somewhere around there. Darren, the difference that you made, the impact that you made on a middle schooler is essentially what brought them, him and his friend who's, I think, from Texas, that's what brought them home.
Yeah.
That's what had them in a room full of pastors and church leaders. That's what brought them back home. Something you said, something you guys did when he was in middle school, man. So I just want you to share, what it was like back then, when this individual was in middle school, and man, could you have imagined that something you said or did back then, just yesterday, this individual shared the impact? Could you have imagined, these years gone by that would have happened?
I mean, you always hope so. So we were in youth ministry for about a decade before we stepped out of ministry for a little while. But so he was one of our last students before we stepped out of ministry for a bit. And so this kid, so anybody that's ever been a part of any kind of student ministry, if you've met a middle schooler, you know exactly the kid I'm talking about, right? So this kid is the kind of kid that is.
I think every ministry had at least that one kid,
100%,
if not multiple.
This is the kid, and we've had one in every ministry we've ever been a part of.
Some of us at this table might have been that one.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's every ministry has one of those kids, or sometimes multiple of those kids. They're either going to do great or terrible things, right?
Yeah.
Like there's not going to be any like minimal impact on the world. It's either going to be a massive impact, whether positive or negative.
Yeah.
Like there's no halfway through, and that's who this kid is. And he had a lot of things that had happened in his life, a lot of things to deal with and work through, and all that good stuff. But like most kids, but. At the end of the day, every single one of the students that we ever came across, and really all of us as teenagers, they're really just looking for somebody to listen, right, and somebody to be there.
Absolutely.
And now, for clarity's sake, this kid had 2 great parents too, right, a lot of great family structure and stuff too. And I think a lot of times we tend to focus on the kids that don't have great family structures, and obviously they need our help too, but I mean, there are people like just because somebody has great parents, like doesn't mean that they don't need somebody to talk to, right? So we were fortunate enough just to kind of be around in his life, and at the time, like I tell you what, there's another. When we were talking about this yesterday, one, this is a good reason not to sleep in. Because I'll be transparent, I slept in and did not want to go to that meeting.
I wasn't going to call you out, man.
Because my day was going to be long, and I thought, I'll just sleep in. It's all right. And Myron, I apologize. I did not text you back. I ignored a personal text, and I think he knew. And I wish he would have just told me. But of course, that's just Myron. But that's all right. But the cool thing for us is you never know the impact you have, right? Yeah. And we didn't do anything special. We didn't do anything profound. Like, maybe he remembers something we said, but man, I did not say anything that profound. Yeah, I can't believe that. The 2 things I think that would have been impactful, and for any student, anybody that I've ever heard share their story about an impactful adult in their life. This is not unique to Courtney and I, right? This is just a thing. It all comes back to not something that they said all the time. It's it comes back to their presence.
Yep, and that's essentially what he said. Is that you guys just took time. Mm-hmm. You took time to be there. Maybe in moments where he felt there was no one else there, and because of your being there, he came back. And it reminds me of Proverbs 22:6. Direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it. Mm-hmm. I'd venture to say everybody at this table has had someone who has done that. Mm-hmm. Megan, you've shared some people in conversation that have had that kind of impact. Bobby, in the short time that I've known you, we all have people that have had that impact. But the reality for ministry is a lot of times you spend a lot of time pouring into people and you never see the fruit from it. And that's going to be my challenge today at the end. Because of the impact that Darren and Courtney made, this young man came back. Yeah. This young man came back. Talk about the comeback story from last week. Sometimes the comeback starts years before we ever see the results of it. Yeah. Who's you guys in the chat, put in there, if you've had somebody who has had a tremendous impact, whether it's something recent or something years ago, just put in the chat, that's me. Or shoot, tag them. Mm-hmm. Tag whoever it is. Megan, Bobby, you got somebody or a story?
Yeah, I would have to say it was...
me. I'm just kidding.
Just in my recent years, my girlfriend, she has made a huge impact on my life. She has... let me see my self-worth and let me know that the man that I am is actually quite worthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it, man. Yeah. My girlfriend did that too, and then she became my wife. Sorry, I couldn't. I tried not saying that. That reminds me, I watched this video the other day, and this guy, I'm pretty sure it was staged, but he and his wife had just got back home, and she's like, I cannot believe how you introduced me in the grocery store. And he's like, what, Shelby? If you have never seen this couple, they are hilarious.
I know exactly who you're talking
He
about.
said, what, Shelby? She said, you introduced me as your ex-girlfriend. Well, you are, Shelby. You were my girlfriend. Now you're my wife. So you are my ex-girlfriend. And I'm like, yeah, I'm never doing that one. You got to look it up. It was hilarious. Hannah must be putting 18 million things in the calendar right now because I'm getting alert after alert after alert. All right. Sorry about that. Megan, somebody who just made a true kingdom impact on you that you still, it still moves you to this day.
Yeah. I think there's a number of people, I guess, in my story of how I ended up where I'm at right now. So it would probably take a while to talk about all those people.
Yeah.
But there's one couple in particular that just really made an impact on me in a lot of ways, and that's Glenn and Sally Clark. They went to Parkway for years, and they were actually like home missionaries of Parkway. They lived here in Roanoke, but they did lots of ministry in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
So I was just always really inspired by them in so many ways, and so I, had a relationship with them, spent time with them, and ultimately they invited me to be a part of this ministry that led me to go to work in Africa. So thinking back through that whole process in my life, and I think invites were a huge part of why I am here today.
Yeah.
Because years ago, many years ago, our neighbor invited us to Parkway. And then my family, Mom and I, started going to Parkway. Then, I went off to college, lived my own life, did my own things, wasn't going to church, and eventually came back to Parkway. And through Parkway,
The comeback.
that was the comeback, was just starting to come back to Parkway again.
Yeah.
And then God put people from Parkway to influence my life, and those people invited me. I think you should come on this trip with me.
Yeah.
I think you should do this. Then I, went off to Africa, and then, I came back again because someone, Sarah Willard, our previous
We're so
business
thankful
director,
that you came back.
well, you can thank Sarah. She
Thank you, Sarah.
invited me to come back because she said, I think you should come back. This job is opening up, and I think it's the right job for you. So, we're thinking about invite culture at Parkway right now.
Speaking
and my
of
whole
which,
story is about invite.
We have these super cool invite cards that are at all of our staircase entrances. Man, Darren, you could have grabbed that one. Jeez.
Why would I do that?
He's like, I'm just going to watch
wouldn't
Carly
take the fun
suffer
away
over
from
here. Man, we, again, invite culture.
Yeah.
Invite. I think about Austin. I hope he's okay with me sharing this. Austin is one of those. Austin Odell, our K3 pastor, part of our Next Gen team, he is one of those who is just so moved by a simple invite. You invite that joker to lunch, and he is just so appreciative. You never know the impact that a simple invite is going to have on someone. And so we've tried to make it easy on you to invite someone. Megan's story has a lot about inviting. Darren, your story has a lot to do about inviting. In fact, that's part of the reason you're on staff here, because I invited you to breakfast one day. And I said, do you want to work at Parkway? When I had zero authority to say that.
And he's regretted it every day since.
No, I regret that you took vacation and I approved it last week. So, you never know. Like the simple invite to lunch, dinner, the simple invite back to church, the simple invite to come and hang out, the simple invite to go on a vacation. You never know the power of that invite. And sometimes those invites are like seeds planted. We often get so worried about sharing the gospel, and I share the gospel. be ready in season and out of season to share what God is doing, to share the gospel. But sometimes the scattering of seed is just a simple invite. This is not in the notes, but let's think about the seeds, the parable of the farmer scattering the seeds. Some fell on the footpath and it got ate up. Some fell on shallow soil, sprouted quickly and died. Some fell on thorns and got choked out. I don't know why that part makes me like got choked out. Hopefully none of y'all are getting choked out right now. If you are, you're in the right place. And others fell on fertile ground and grew way more than ever expected. The thing is, we are called to scatter seed, and not every farmer scatters seed the same. Some of us, it's just a simple invite, and it's living out our faith on display for people to see. And that invite to just hang out, that's where the life change takes place. You rather than sharing the gospel, you display the gospel. People know you're a Christian before you ever tell them you're a Christian. And I think we should all live we should all live in such a way like that.
Well, the gospel is also an invitation.
Let's go.
Where's the button?
Where's the button?
It's so late. Come on, man.
I saw you
beat me
flinch.
to it.
I saw you flinch.
I was
You're
going
like,
to it.
I'm not doing it.
do it.
I like Megan. She's like, where's the button?
So an interesting story. The reason I came back to Parkway was because my girlfriend invited me here.
Invite. There it is again.
And like whenever we first started talking about church and God and everything, she was hesitant because, I mean, I was a believer, but I wasn't going to church. I wasn't a full-blown Christian, and so she felt like she was kind of struggling back and forth about tell me about church and about what a good church this is. And but through our conversation, she found out that it was my home, and since I started coming back to church, like, look at me now. I'm actually writing a book, and I'm doing all kinds of fabulous things about
I love
Christianity. So, and hopefully through that one invite that she gives me, I can touch so many lives.
Yeah, Jody just said something. She said, even if people don't initially come, invites are life-changing.
Yeah.
Megan, what were you about to say?
Well, I was going to say what I like about Bobby, too, is it's clear that he understands the gospel now, because not only is he coming to church, he's going out.
Yeah.
He's serving in the community.
Yeah.
And, he's signing up for Parkway Off the Mountain, and he's serving. And I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Hey,
Not
speaking
just-
of
So fun.
speaking of Parkway Off the Mountain, we have one coming up soon. Can you share just a little bit?
Yeah, on April 20th, from 9 to 12, we have a work day or a serve day at Immigrant Connection, which is actually it shares a space with First Wesleyan. We were talking about that earlier. So Pastor Herb has given Immigrant Connection a space to use and see their clients, and there is there's a playground out there, and it's it's not in the best shape. I mean, it's a very nice playground. It just needs some love.
Yeah.
So just kind of sanding and painting on the equipment, and then planting some flowers and doing some mulch and just some simple things to make it look welcoming. So we'll be doing that on the 20th of April.
Got you. And I'll have on the website today.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm late.
Okay.
I wasn't going to call you out.
Yeah.
I was just about to post the link, and I wasn't going to call it out.
The link ain't there. I'm sorry. I'll get it up today. I promise you. But you can go. Is it on the missions page, or is it off the mountain?
It's off the mountain.
Yeah, parkwayroanoke.com/off the mountain.
Yeah.
I'll get that updated right after midweek today. I apologize.
That's okay.
John Brunk made a good point. He put in. He said, "I was invited to hang out with the tech team one Sunday and haven't looked back since." And we actually had that happen with somebody else recently. In fact, we had somebody last night show up to hang out and just jump right in and was already serving, like just
in their niche too. And it's
all from an invite.
And it's the exact place that we needed somebody to.
100%.
Like we have, it's always amazing to me. Like, so especially like we'll talk about John. We won't talk about our gentleman last night, but one, he found his niche last night. John Brunk, man, that dude. Nobody can run the camera like him, right?
Nah.
Somebody like him.
The
Aaron's
other cool.
taken off
Well, that's
and
why I said
jumped
the
in.
other cool thing about John is John showed up to hang out.
Yeah.
And started running it's camera 4. It's our roving camera, or roaming camera, whatever you want to call, mobile camera. John showed up, I think it was on a Tuesday. I was working on making that camera mobile, and John's like, dude, I know you got a lot of stuff to do. Let me play around with it. Never
Took off with.
look back. Not only did John do that, but now John has trained Aaron. John, a volunteer, has trained Aaron, a volunteer. And it all stemmed from an invite. Something else in the chat here. Courtney said sometimes those seeds take years before they bloom. You never know your influence. You know, here's the thing: we're all called to scatter seed. And we hope that the seed takes root, grows, and is fruitful. But regardless of if or when we see growth, we are still to scatter, to share, to invite, to disciple, and to make a difference where we can, when we can, and how we can. We may not witness the fruit that results in this lifetime, but one day the sower and the reaper will rejoice together. Man, I love it. Jody Catter, in case y'all are wondering, breakfast is my favorite.
Breakfast equals coffee in my life, so breakfast is my favorite too.
And Jody said, I think Maddie and I are coming to Immigrant Connection. That is so cool. So here's what I want you to do. Just think back over your own faith journey, because we're getting kind of close to our time here. Think back over your own faith journey in your life. We kind of already did it. Who are some of the people that God used to bring you back to Him?
Yeah.
To bring you back home, to invite you back, or to invite you for the first time. Here's the thing: they may not know the role that they played.
Yeah.
Just like you might not know the role that you've played in others' lives. So here's your challenge for today and for this week. Call someone who's made a difference in your life and thank them.
Yeah.
You never know what that will mean, because they probably don't even realize
And
it.
there's different ways you can make an impact too. So I know we talked a lot about, people that were inviting to church and people that, were there for you at, specific tough moments in life. And you made me think of a lady that in the church I grew up in Michigan, a lady named Esther Barrett. And she,
I think every church had an Esther.
and
I'm
you know
just
what?
saying.
She is everything you think she is.
Right.
She
Like,
is that lady.
When you say
right?
Esther, you just instantly know
exactly
she
who
was
she is.
golden.
Sweetest
golden,
lady in the world.
Whatever.
I was graduating high school and getting ready to go to college to study for ministry. And I interned at our church my first summer, and every semester while I was in college. So she believed in me enough that not only did she pray for me, and she would send me cards every semester that she was praying for me, but every single one of those cards had a check in it. And she was very specific that it wasn't to go to tuition. It was to help make sure, that I was eating and, had everything that I need and taken care of. And look, we're not family, but she believed in me, right? So that's the kind of thing that, man, no matter who you are, no matter what circumstances you're in, how close you are in proximity to somebody, there's somebody that you can impact. Now, she's since gone into heaven and, is probably writing checks from heaven to somebody, right? But like she and her husband, they believed in me, right? And they wanted to invest in me that way. So even if you feel like maybe there's not somebody specific in your life right now that you feel like you can, invest in on a personal level that way, man, if you got a checkbook, I mean, there's somebody that needs your support. Some missions organizations that you can support. So even showing up and giving to places like Immigrant Connection, some of our other missions partners,
and giving of your time too.
Exactly.
You never know what that will mean to someone. Man, thank you for sharing it. So challenge number 1: call someone who has made a difference in your life and just simply thank them. And then the second one is reach out to some of those who maybe you've lost touch with, and remind them of their worth. Remind them that they're important to you. And man, as I was preparing this morning, like, golly, I was hit square between the eyes. Like, man, you ain't reached out to this person, that person. And I'm like, I'm giving them this challenge. Does that mean I got to do it too?
Yep.
So those are the challenges. Let someone know the difference that they made in your life, but then also reach out to someone and just remind them of their worth and encourage them. Final thoughts?
You don't have to be a pastor to have impact on somebody. You just got to be a person. I'm gonna let's go.
Yeah,
myself on that.
let's go that button. Over there. Where's that button?
Where's that button? Hit that one.
Hit that button over there. Yeah. So, kind of a next step for you is I want to invite you to join us this Sunday at Parkway, or be sure to go to your church, but don't just go. Invite someone to go with you. Invite someone to sit with you. And I'll say this: when you invite someone, be with them, love on them, because you never know how far that'll go. Not just that, hey, they invited me to church and I showed up and I never saw them. Nah, if you invite somebody to church and then you're there waiting on them, and they see the genuine excitement that you have for them being in the building with you, that right there. I love our pastor and I love sermons. That right there alone will probably go further than that first sermon they hear will. That's what they'll remember and they'll come back. So,
And let's not forget the people that don't come.
right.
Because there's a lot of people I've invited, and I've invited them more than once, and they don't come.
Yeah.
But that still means something.
Yeah.
They might think about it years later and
Still scattering that seed.
oh, okay, well, it didn't happen then, but maybe I'll go to church today.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we had some testimonies from that Easter. I'm not going to call names, but there was some people in the worship team who have been praying for and asking for coworkers and all to come for years.
Yeah.
And they came Easter. And not only did one of them didn't only come Easter, came back this past Sunday. Actually, one of them, the lady and daughter, gave their heart to the Lord. I think one of the kids baptized Sunday. You never know when it'll finally take.
Yeah.
You just keep scattering that seed.
Yeah.
When a farmer scatters seed, we got to stop. When a farmer scatters seed, they don't go back the next morning and count every seed. While it's important, they don't go back and count every seed. And when the crops grow, they're not like, I got 22 crops, but I planted 48 seeds. Let me dig those 48 seeds up. No, they keep going. They keep going, and they understand that some seeds going to grab and some seeds aren't.
And next year, that one seed that they missed, it might grow.
It's like that watermelon story of mine.
That's right.
I'm not going to tell it again, but if you've been on here at any point in time, you know sometimes it takes time.
Yeah.
So keep inviting. We've made it easy for you to invite. We make it easy on Sundays. In fact, if you're on our online campus on Sundays, there's a button that says invite. You press it, and it does it for you. So, yeah, we are out of time. Any final thoughts?
Good show.
Good show. Good show. Listen, we love you guys. As always, you can text Motivate, or if you just need encouragement or just want to pray or encourage us, 540-900-3838. Share this with somebody. Maybe they need some motivation or encouragement. And again, thank you for joining us for another week of Midweek Motivation, real conversations with real people about a very real God. Stay motivated.
Yeah, when you're feeling down and motivated in the midweek, we got the guys here to make your life complete. Little John, Brandon, Cody, Carly, they're coming in to keep you motivated all week. New episode, same time every week. Don't gotta wait long for the next one to release. So don't go away, sit down, take a seat, enjoy Midweek Motivation with John and Carly. Hey.
Midweek Motivation.
Let's go.